Good evening, everyone. This is your host of the evening, Brahmajit Mohapatra. It's a great pleasure of mine to welcome you all to one of the most awaited Summer Summit 2021 on behalf of AWS Cloud Community LPU. We bring you AWS Summer Wave, a platform where you can learn and explore AWS from industry experts. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. This was a great quote quoted by Winston Churchill. Amazon Web Services Cloud Community LPU always believes that success is not the destination, but gives our best to achieving success is the goal. So here we bring you a wonderful 3-day series of webinar. Webinar will be taken directly by the industry experts who have been into this domain for a long time. Isn't it exciting? Well, it is. So before starting on something about AWS Cloud Community, I want to convey to all of you, like you all are new and some of you have been a part of this community since a long time. So what is this AWS Cloud Community LPU is all about? So this is a community that empowers all the willing students and shape a community that where everyone is responsible, dedicated, and also ready to explore and experiment new possibilities in the field of AWS. This is community aims to reach out to the maximum number of students, making them aware of the AWS, thus to guide the students and make the community much stronger. Frequent workshops and competitions are organized by the members of the community. These workshops teaches attendees how to make the best and efficient use of this amazing platform. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be learning a lot of new things. Let me give you a glance of what all are coming up for you. So, today is the day one, and we have 3 days series. Day one will teach you the path for cloud to DevOps, and we have today Aditya Soni sir. He will guide you through the live demonstration on introduction of continuous integration and continuous delivery. On day two, we have Anurag Kale sir. He will guide you through the live demonstration on Amazon Aurora Serverless and DynamoDB. And on day third, we have Shashank Mishra sir. He will guide you through the live demonstration on AWS for simple ETL pipelines. Best part is the perks. I know that we all love to have perks. So the best part is the perks you receive for being a part of AWS Summer Wave. You all will receive e-certificates too, and this is totally free of cost. You are here to gain knowledge and we are here to give you knowledge. But one thing you need to make sure that you have to fill the feedback form, which will be given to you at any point of time. It could be in the middle or it could be in the end. You need to fill that form to be a valid candidate for the e-certification. Also, highly qualified and experienced industry professionals will be presenting you great stops, great knowledge. You all will love to see that. So, moving on, the exciting 3-day series webinar will be presented by some of the most talented industrial experts who have been in this field from a long time. So, let me introduce the first speaker, Mr. Aditya Soni, sir. He is one of the most incredible people who can't just be defined with a few words. A curious person who wants to know every bit of backend and love to troubleshoot and find the solution to every problem. Aditya Soni sir works at Red Hat as ATSE, Openshift Containers Platform, open source. He is so much keen on DevOps, methodologies and cloud and always look forward to integrating his works with the best to fit the organization. He has contributed to open source communities and one of Lyft Scholar 2020 as Cloud Captain and AWS Community Builders. We are tremendously honored to have our first day speaker as Aditya Soni sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, we all are very happy to have you on board with us. Stay tuned and watch this session with enthusiasm and eagerness. I invite Mr. Aditya Soni sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting your time, let's welcome Aditya Soni sir with a great round of applause. You can Just send the emojis like this in the chat section and welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. You can
Yeah,
carry
hi.
on.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Brahmajit, for the kind intro. And yeah, I'm also so grateful to be here. Yeah, so let me start to share my screen, then we can start with this particular presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you must be able to see my screen now. Can you confirm? Yeah, I think it's visible. Yeah, hello everyone who has joined this particular AWS Cloud Community LPU, and like these guys are awesome. They have just started their community started previously, but they started with the AWS Summer Wave 2021. So as I discussed with the team, like this is their first initiative to be like as a long term, or I can say a long session events. So yeah, that's great, and it will help the community and all the learners. Yeah, so the today's topic I gonna I gonna start with like path for cloud to DevOps. So we will discuss about it like what if you are in cloud, then how can you start with DevOps? And let's suppose if you have not started with the cloud itself, then what's the path for you? And yeah, I will show you one live demonstration on CI/CD over AWS, or I can say DevOps on AWS. Yeah, so let's get started. So if you are listening me, then you should know who I am, like who I am and why I'm here, and why should you listen me actually? Because this should be your concern, because you are just investing your 1 hour, or I can say 1.5 hour. So you should be know like who I am listening. So I'm Aditya Soni. So I'm working at RedHat as ATSE in Openshift Container Platform. I'm cloud and DevOps enthusiast, open source community contributor, and yeah, AWS Community Builder. If you want to connect, you can connect me over LinkedIn, or you can check my blogs over Medium. So, what's the agenda for today's particular session? Okay, so let me start with the first. So, in the agenda, I will include the three terms. These three terms actually I also agree, or I also follow when I learn something. So, these are like what, why, and how. So, if you are just listening or just attending this particular talk, so your concern we should like why I should listen particular person, or why will be the what will be the benefits of it, and I have listened and how I will implement in my live use case, or what will the benefits, so how can create a particular project from it. Okay, so I will demonstrate everything for you. So the agenda will be like I will just brief about the topic. So the topic is cloud to DevOps. So what's the mean of that? So before the cloud and to the cloud. So previously, what was the condition and how we relate to the cloud itself? Okay. So what's the DevOps? How one can start with it? Because this is the particular query I get a lot of time on LinkedIn. Like, how can I start with it? I am from testing background. I am from this background. So how can I start with the DevOps thing, or how you started? Can you please share your views? So I will explain everything on that particular term. So yeah, so there must be a question like I already know the cloud, I know the EC2 service, I know some more basics of it, but like I want to start with DevOps. So how can I start with that? So that also I will explain it. So like till the end, like before the hands-on demo, it will be something you can see particular slide by session, or I will just stop and you have to just listen that, because this is a particular process. And again, after that, I will just explain you about that particular demo. Okay. So DevOps in AWS. So in AWS, there are lots of services as we know. Okay. So there are particular services AWS created for the DevOps itself. So what are them and how you can start with that? So I will explain you that also. Then hands-on demo on the AWS DevOps services and queries. If you have any queries, then you can ask at the end of the session. Yeah, so let's get started about the topic. So, path for cloud to DevOps. So, by this term, actually, because the first thing I want to introduce, like why I integrated these two terms, cloud and DevOps. See, everyone knows cloud because cloud is for everyone now. Okay, so if anyone is IT, then it should be known like must be using cloud now, or he must know the cloud. What's the mean of it? Because we all are working virtually, so we not are in our company, or we are not using our data center VM, or I can say machines. So we must know the cloud term, and the path for cloud to DevOps. It will create a digital transformation. What's the mean of it? Like you know the cloud, and if you know the DevOps, then you can do a lot of things. Your opportunity will be more. And if we check about the data, or what other data is going on the Google, you can just type what are the trends of DevOps trend. You can just find a graph like that. So from the 2014, it's just increasing by the exponentially. You can check from 2014, just exponentially increases till the 2025. Okay, So that's why this particular DevOps term is so important now, because if you know this, then there are lots of opportunities for you in the market, or you can grasp anything, okay, from a startup to a big company also. So yeah, that's why like this is a particular intro I can say for the topic. Yeah, so before the cloud and to the cloud. So like in this particular slide I want to explain like as we all know, the cloud was not introduced previously, but it was introduced like sometime back, or I can say a decade or 2 decades back. So before the cloud, how we were working, so as you can check in this particular slide, there's a left side, there are developers who are just accessing their VMs, or they are doing work from the data center. So as we all know, we have data center. On the data center we have physical VMs, physical hard disk, physical everything, okay. So if there is no cloud, then what we have to do, we have to just access the particular physical VM as we do at our home. As you will just do like sync your with your laptop or sync with your computer, or let's suppose if you have some hard disk or lots of TBs or GBs, so you are just accessing that. So this is particular thing is you can save without the cloud, okay. And yeah, you have to manage them. If something is crashes, then everything will be gone at this particular scenario, okay. But because of the cloud, there are lots of ample of opportunities are for us, or benefits also, okay. So you can just access everything by that particular internet thing, okay. So there's the internet. If you have the internet, you can just access anything on the cloud. Okay, so there are lots of cloud providers you already know, and let me explain like if you go in the cloud, then there can be the two types of cloud, okay. So the first is public and second is private, and the third is hybrid. Like when you just mix the two kind of clouds or create a new strategy for your particular environment, then that could be hybrid. But public and private. So private cloud, anything like as I explained previously, like of our data center on all the things. So the private cloud can be like this. So some of companies, or like lots of companies have their secure data that they don't want to put on cloud, because that is so secure that, let's suppose if someone just breach them or any security attacks go on them, so they what they do, they just handle that particular types of data in the private cloud at the their end, okay. And the public cloud is like AWS, GCP, Azure, and Alibaba. You must know all these kind of words. And yeah, so these are the public clouds. So we are just moving from the data centers to the cloud. Yeah, so that's about this particular slide. And yeah, everyone in IT, like if there is a particular software development team or anyone, we just giving them the virtual machines or the cloud access, and they are doing their work on that particular site. Yeah, so the next thing is, so what is DevOps, or how can one start with it? Okay, so the first thing is like, what is DevOps? So that you should know. Okay, so DevOps. So DevOps is like this is the word some people say like it's a technology. I know the DevOps technology. I know this thing. I know this thing. So nothing like that. The DevOps in simple term, you can just in layman term you can understand like this. Previously, what we was doing, we were just building or deploying, or I can say we are just creating our application, or in IT we are just creating our software applications by the waterfall model. So if you have run the SDLC, so in SDLC we previously were having on waterfall. So in waterfall previously there are lots of approaches, but I am just starting with the waterfall, and after the waterfall there are lots of approaches coming in. But I will just focus on the waterfall, agile, and then DevOps. Okay, so in waterfall, because we were having lots of drawbacks, I can say drawbacks, or because if you started from the particular first step, then let's suppose if you go on to the next step or last step, if any kind of what I can say, any kind of demands or requirements changed by the client, then you have to start from the first step again. So this rework will be have you, and previously when we was doing waterfall, then the industry was like implementing a particular project in I can say a year or more than a year. Okay. So then we comes to the agile. So what was the agile? So in agile, the mean of agile, we say like we know like it will be so fast. Okay. So now we were having agility. So in our software development lifecycle, we were having agility. We are just doing a lot of work by I can say in the half an year. Okay, but there will be agility, but there was no connection between the two teams, because in the IT or in the I can say industry, there are two teams. The first is dev. There's a development team who actually develop your code, who actually write the code, who actually check the test cases and everything they return, and then that particular code goes to for the deploy, and that for goes to the ops team, or I can say IT team. Okay, so they particular team is the who actually deploy your code. Okay, so in agile we were having so fast, but there is no connection between these two teams. So then terms the introduced, that is a DevOps. So DevOps is a methodology. It's actually a practice. In this practice, what we do, we just combine the dev and ops. So we just combine these two teams so they can work together, and there can be more efficient way to like to submit the code and to deploy it. Okay, so in this particular diagram you can check a particular robot, or you can yeah, you can consider as robot, and there's the dev team and there's the ops team. So what are the tasks that dev to perform? So they just deploy, they just write the code, they just check the code level errors, quality of code, and user analysis, and application performance, like of how our application will perform. Like let's suppose there's 10 guy who are working on it, like suppose 11th come, then it will fail or not, but that will also handled by the ops team also. So in ops team what they does, they check like application availability. Let's suppose they have just because dev team what they do, they just create the code, they just push it on any of the tool, you can check. And again, when the code is pushed, their work is done. Again they will don't do anything because they want to develop, and they have just developed it. And how you goes to live or how you want to go it live, that's your concern, not there. Okay, so now picture comes to the ops team. So what ops team will do, they will just deploy your application for the application availability, application performance, or end user complaints. Complaints in the sense like, let's suppose the application is deployed and they are not able to access something, then they will just that only feedback goes to ops team, and then ops team check if this is the our deployment issue or the code level issue. If this is deployment issue, then they will just do it. I can say resolve, as they will just create a Zira, or they will just submit it, that particular code issue to the dev team. Okay, so the dev team handle that particular issue now. Yeah, so this is the particular thing, that's the DevOps. So there is a combination of software development and the I can say ops, that's the operational IT team. Okay, so yeah, I think that's answer your question. So so in this slide, I will explain like the infinity process or the DevOps umbrella. So by the infinity process, my actual mean is like as you can check that particular green diagram, that is a particular infinity shape. Okay, so this is infinity shape because this particular life cycle will never end. Okay, every time until your project is not submitted or project is not done, this will not any time ended, because you have to code, you have to build it, you have to test it again and again, and then release, deploy, operation, monitor, or feedback. Okay, so these things will be there every time. So this is the infinity process, we can say, in DevOps. So in the DevOps umbrella in the sense, because this is the infinite pipeline, so you can check it as the umbrella. So in this there are lots of steps, and in these steps there is we can say there's a lots of tools who actually we use when we deploy any application from a particular step or stepwise. Okay, so there are steps in particular DevOps process are like plan, code, build, test, deploy, operate, and monitor. So what are the means of that? So let me explain you one by one. So in plan stage, what we do in plan stage, this is the stage where actually our code is comes in. So as I explained you in this slide, like dev team actually give you the code. They will just do the code. They will just push the code to the GitHub or GitHub or any of the source control tool. Okay, so that code will present on the particular GitHub repository, or I can say any VCS tool. Okay, so that code will be your plan. Okay, so in plan you can consider it as this also, like you have planned how your pipeline will goes and what are the steps we have to include for running that particular code, what are the build steps, what are the test steps. Again, if you are deploying it on the particular I can say environment, then there what tool you have to use, Docker, Ansible, or I can say if there is any graphic card you are using, then everything we have to just rewrite it. We have to just take in mind like these all are the tools that I will need in the later when I will configure this particular pipeline. Okay, so in the plan stage, you will just plan everything. Okay, the plan means like you will just plan everything about what is the process you are going to follow in the next six step. I can say in the code we will just take the code. Okay, take the code from the GitHub or any VCS tool. So you have the code now. So that code you have to build in the sense you have to build the dependencies. Let's suppose there's a Java application or there's a Python application. So you have to build that particular jar file, or particular from that jar file you have to build that particular code to get it finalized for run. Okay, so now that build is complete, so again the build is complete, then you have to test the particular test cases. Whatever test cases you have written that for that code, you have to just run them. You have to just test like in this condition how's my code is behaving. Okay, so that thing, when this particular thing is done, so your code is ready to deploy now. You are able to see that particular 200 okay code and HTTP like the code and your the particular working of the code, like I am submitting a data, that data is going to fill or not. So everything is, you have just tested it. Okay. So the next thing we will just integrate. So I will just left this out now. I will just go to the next step, that is a deploy. Okay. So in deploy step, what we do in deploy step, we just deploy that particular code that we already tested. Okay. So in deploy stage, you will just deploy this particular code via lots of tools. Like you can, if your application is able to containerize, you are able to containerize it, then you will just containerize it in Docker or any of the tool like Podman or something that, and after that you will just deploy it. And let's suppose their loads is overcoming, then you can just use Kubernetes also. Okay, yeah, that thing is there. If there is a configuration changes, then you can use Ansible and yeah, Chef Puppet, anything tools there to operate. You can just yeah, check with your operator monitor. You can just check with lots of tools like Prometheus, Grafana, or these are the open source tools. I am not talking about now the AWS DevOps. Okay, so these tools are lots of open source, and you can just integrate them via help of the Jenkins. So Jenkins you can consider as the heart of the DevOps, the pipeline, or okay, and you can say infinity process. So this tool is particular the heart. Okay, so this is the particular CI tool. So Jenkins is one, and there's a loads of tools like Circle CI and other tools are also available. That by that you can just integrate the whole process, and because that's what we say the continuous integration. So when we integrate everything in the particular, I can say a particular by the tool or in the particular pipeline. So there are the four step at the left side and the three step at the right side. But when we just integrate everything and the code is deploy, okay. So that thing is done by the Jenkins, and that's why we say that like the continuous integration tool. Yeah, I think that resolve your like the particular doubt like what's the CI. Okay, so CD we will check later, but yeah, you can do CD also by the Jenkins itself. You can just deploy your code by installing some kind of plugins like for the Kubernetes or some you are just deploying on EC2. Then just you have to take the plugin. You have to just deploy your code in the particular VM or everywhere you just want to deploy it. Okay, yeah, so this is the particular question I think you must all are waiting for, like how can I start the DevOps, or what are the, because I have showed you everything, there is a lot of tools, but what is the first step, what is the second step I should go through? Okay, so before completing this slide I will go to this slide. Okay, because this is the basic one, and I think this will help you more. Okay, so yeah, so there's lots of doubt like I already know the cloud, I know the bit of cloud, but I want to start with DevOps. So what are the tools I should start with? Okay, so what is the path is like that. You have to be proficient in your computer science subject. If you are not on computer science, that's not an issue. You can be from electrical, you can be from mechanical, there is no issue of the branches. But these are the simple terms you can just learn, I can say, from Google itself. There is no other community you can just follow, just Google it, everything you will find it out. Okay, so the first thing is operating system. Okay, operating system is the mean like there are lots of concepts in your OS like the memory management, the DS, FS. Okay, so file system and these everything you can just go through by operating system. So there's a deadlock. You can say there's a lots of process, how thread works. So these are basic concepts of operating system. You can just go through them, and these will help you in the better, I can say, long run. Okay, because if you are not clear your basic operating system and networking concept, then this will be lead you a lot of issues later on. Okay, then the next is the Linux. So Linux is the operating system. Most of cloud environments in the DevOps also we just use them. If you are deploying any of the application, then Linux will be the must priority there, because Windows I think you all know. Okay, so Windows, doing Windows or learning Windows is not a big thing, but you have to learn the Linux and you have to start with it. What are the process? What is the architecture of it? What's the file architecture and everything about it? Okay, and third thing is networking. So from the networking part you have to do a lot of things, like I can say uh, there's lots of basics like DNS, I can say IP, how actually cider works. So these all things you have to just learn about them, and you have to just check, because if let's suppose if you know the cloud, but if you know not the networking and operating system parts, then you will you how you will create the cider range of the your VPC. Or I can say you are just going to create a VPC, but you don't know what's the cider, or what's the mean of slash for 24, what's the mean of slash 19, what should I put actually for getting a particular long IP, or I can say a wider range for the particular client. So I think there will be no issues, because you have to do it. The networking part is the must for you. The third is database management system. So this particular DBMS thing is like you should know the basics of it. Not I'm saying like you should be pro at it, but you should know the basics of how we can log in, how actually is a command run, what are the queries, things like that. The programming language you can follow any like Python. I can say yeah, Python will be, if you are know the Python, then I think you will be good at it, because you can do anything by the Python. You will just integrate a lots of tool in DevOps. Okay, the shell scripting is the second thing. You can just go through it, because by the shell scripting you can just integrate anything, and yeah, that will be that will be easy for you to do any task. if you know the shell scripting in Linux, or I can say it will not consume you more time to do a particular task. You can just write every command in the particular script and you can just run it if you know the better way of writing the shell scripts. The SCM tools is like the VCS tools, the version control systems. So it can be a Git, it can be your GitLab, it can be anything. But you should know the basics in the sense like if something is coming, if anyone is doing commit, if something is failed, or my code is not able to commit, I'm getting a particular error. So how I should resolve that particular error? Or what I can say is you should don't learn anything like the basics things. Just focus on the area where you will stuck, so that will be lead you. Okay, so it's not like I have just gone through the GitOps. I can just go to the git particular git, and I have just gone through what is git. I know the particular basic commands, and yeah, I have done mastery on it. But that will not help you. I'll just say you because that will not help you anywhere. Okay, if you know the how to troubleshoot it, or you are getting a particular error, or you, because on that particular time you will just able to create a solution if you know how to solve a particular error. So try to get lots of error when you are learning these things. Okay, so exclude DevOps tools. So these are the basics tools, but when you comes to the DevOps, so there will be Docker, Terraform, Ansible, Jenkins, Kubernetes, monitoring tools. Yeah, and there is no end. So basically, what is the path? I will suggest you like you just start with the open system, Linux, and networking. Do these three things first, at the very basic, or I can say advanced level. Then start with the Docker, Terraform, these two, and then start with the Jenkins, Kubernetes, and Ansible. Okay, so if you will follow this path, like this will be, I think, the best practice, and I also followed that particular thing. So yeah, the monitoring tool also you can just go through it, because this is the particular monitoring is the main major part, and lots of people are just missing it. Because if something is in like production, okay, something is in production, if you are not maintaining the logs, if you are not aware of like if something is failed, like what's the main cause of it, if you don't know the root cause, then I think don't you will not able to resolve it out. So the monitoring tools you should or you must be learn it, and there is no end. Okay, so in DevOps we are just growing it. After DevOps there we are moving to GitOps, so there is no end to learn. But yeah, if you will do these things, yeah, I can assure like you will get a better opportunity somewhere. Okay, and there is a previous slide I will just explain you. So how can you start with DevOps? So basically in DevOps also the major tool I explained you the next slide, but yeah, in DevOps like there are lots of tools like IaaS for the infrastructure as a service. So basically in IaaS you can just use AWS as your Google Compute or DigitalOcean. So these are the all the clouds. So any cloud platform actually includes in cloud. We just deploy our VMs over there and we just integrate them. Okay, containers you can use anywhere, any of these like Docker, Kubernetes, or VMware. But yeah, we use the most of time Docker and Kubernetes. Yeah. So the modeling and application. So this is the another part. So CI tools, there are lots of CI tools like Circus CI, Travis, as I said previously also. In monitoring part, you can check like network monitoring, like the packets capturing, like if any packet is going, then what's it's doing actually, and configuration management tool like Ansible, Vagrant, Chef, Puppet, etc. Yeah, so there are lots of tools. Yeah, you can go from this. If you want to take a screenshot, you can take, or you can just check the video at the end or later time. Yeah, so the next topic, if I say the DevOps in AWS, because this is the main point, or mean the focus area, that's why we just here. Okay, because previously I just explained the basics of it. Because if you are just watching it, then you should know like what are the ways. Because if you are just from the student level and the intermediate and the advanced level, so that's how I will just plan it. Okay, so DevOps in AWS, or I can say DevOps in AWS Cloud, or the benefits, or why you should use this. Because as I explained, there are lots of tools already available in market. There's lots of open source tools already there. But why should I use that particular DevOps thing in the AWS cloud? And what will be the benefit of that? Okay. So let's suppose I'm giving an example. You are using your AWS cloud for getting access to your VM, the virtual machines. Okay. You are using your laptop, but your laptop has less of memory, less of space. So you move to your AWS cloud and you just purchase your EC2 instances, and you are just working on that. Okay, let's suppose you are just working on that. You have just deployed a particular application on that particular instance, and you are just accessing that particular application by that. Till that, I think we are okay. But your requirements are increasing day by day. You want to deploy that application by using some CI/CD tool, or you want to uh, you are using particular Git repository and your code is there, and you want to deploy on that EC2. But now how you will do that? So in that particular scenario, you are stuck there. Like my code is on GitHub, I want to actually deploy on EC2, and how we will integrate these two things, And in between, if you are having like build steps, you are having deploy, you are having testing. So where I should write these steps if I want to deploy? So this is the major issues like who are using cloud they were facing. So what AWS got a solution, they had just deployed everything, they have just given every solution to on their own platform. There is a AWS. So on AWS you can use DevOps on at their platform. So what are the benefits? So if I say about the benefits, so see, you are already using that particular EC2 instance on your AWS. You are already paying for it. And let's suppose if you will go with the other open source tool, then you have to manage these tools also. But what you can do, you can just use the AWS services, and the bill will be increased, but everything will be managed at a place. Okay. So you can just automate your system operations. So every system operation, you can just automate it. And yeah, so it will be a pay as you go. Whatever you will use, AWS will charge you for that. If you are using code build, let's suppose code build, and AWS will charge you for the time particular your code is building. So if your build time is less, then AWS charges accordingly. So that's how actually AWS charges pay as you go. Okay, improve visibility and security. So in the cloud, AWS will maintain everything, the security and everything. But the out the cloud, let's suppose you are using the particular instance, but that particular instance security that AWS can handle. But let's suppose if you have opened the firewall tool on the all everyone, or I can say publicly, then that's not a AWS issue, because he can only provide you EC2. If something is not happening good with EC2, then he can handle. But if something is not happening in the EC2 instance, then that's their issue. That's your issue actually, because it's your use case how you are using it. That's not their problem. Okay, so that's how your visibility of security is work. So leverage and fully managed services. So leverage is like so everything will be fully managed. Let's suppose your traffic will be because you are a startup, and you have just deployed your application with the, and you at one day one you are having 10 people who are visiting your website. On day two you are having 20, and it was increasing exponentially day by day. And one day you are having lakhs of. So how you will manage in the other platform? So in AWS itself you can manage them. AWS will handle everything about your fully managed, or about that particular thing. What I can say, how you can just extend your availability. Okay, so scale without infrastructure constraints. So you have no infrastructure, there's no issues. AWS will do it for you. Okay, yeah. So when it comes to CI/CD, what the mean of it? Because if you are just, I will just jump on the AWS CI/CD, then it will be, I think, not too much helpful for you. So the first line, like, what's the CI/CD? So I think I have previously explained you about in the Jenkins process, like in the continuous integration. So CI means like continuous integration. So in the continuous integration, we actually integrate every tool or every step that was already having in our bucket. Okay, so we have already integrated them. But what about the CD? So in CD, we have two steps, or I can say the two terms of CD is like continuous delivery and continuous deployment. So these are the two terms. So I will explain you it later. So let me explain you the a basic example, like how actually CI/CD pipeline look like. Okay. So there is a developer who only know actually how to write the code. Who is a Java developer, or I can say JavaScript developer, who know how to write the code. He has just write the code. He has just given the list of dependency to you. Like these are the dependency. Whenever you are just deploying somewhere, just deploy that and just after like installing this dependency, you will be able to run that application. Okay, so this is the particular thing he has just given you. So there's a dev and there's a ops. So in dev you can check what are the works of that. So he will just write the code, he just build that, and he just unit test. So in unit test, like there is lots of testing we do. So this is a particular, it includes a unit test, and after the unit test it will just package the application, and it will, there's then comes the deploying part. Okay, but the dev time it will not gonna do it for you everything. Okay, so now the come things for the infra, or I can say the ops team. So write infra code in the sense, whenever you are just deploying anything on any of the cloud platform, then you will don't just go and do all your work by the hands. Like you will don't go and just do, like you want to per one EC2 instance, you want one VPC. So you will don't do everything by the manual process. You will do by automatic writing just code for that. You will just declare everything. So that's how we use there the declarative configurations. Okay, so in infrastructure, as I previously mentioned, like Terraform. So if you would know the Terraform, you can just write the infra code for you, and you will just deploy it. Okay, so infra will be ready for you. Okay, build AWS. So this is build AMI. So basically in AMIs, what we do, we just create particular AMI with whatever the dependency we need. Okay, so whatever dependency the your developer, like he said, like, oh, my our application is of Python, I need to particular these libraries, like three should be installed there. So you will install in particular AMI and you will create the particular AMI from them. And let's suppose the application is able to containerize, then same thing you will do in a Docker. Okay, so you will write Docker file and you will write a dependency there. Okay, then validate templates. You have to just validate it, the automate deployment. So yeah, so ops team will care of all this process, and there can be a lots of environment like dev, test, DR or prod. So in the whenever your application will be ready to proceed, then the ops team the first will deploy it to the dev environment. It will just check whatever the things that developer has done, what are is reflecting or not. If it's reflecting, then he will do the next environment, that is a test. In test, they will test about the load testing, and there's like unit test, and there's lots of testing also available. So they will test it accordingly to the environment to environment. And there is a prod, then they will just deploy it to the prod, and there can be a mid DR also. Okay, yeah. So what's the difference between the continuous delivery and continuous deployment? Okay, so when we say about the continuous delivery versus continuous deployment, so the thing is, see, I say it like, yeah, as I said, like we are just deploying our code. So after you have just tested it, and then you're just going to deploy it. Okay, so in the deployment, whenever we will do it on the dev environment, okay, so it's not possible to just write the code and just deploy it to the production. We will just test it on the other environments. So let's suppose you are just using it and you want to just manual approve it. Manual approve in the sense like, whenever you will approve, then only your code will be deployed to the particular server. So for the production, we always stop the continuous deployment thing. Continuous deployment in the sense there will be no manual approval. The code will be always go there. Okay, but in the what I can say, in the continuous deployment, the code always go there, but in the continuous delivery, but there will be a manual process there. Okay, so in prod, we always pose the particular deployments there till there, and then we test it, and then everything is fine. Then we can just deploy that particular commit or the particular commit or the developer whatever pushes he done. So on the time we only done that. So that's the basic difference between the continuous delivery and continuous deployment. That one have the manual pose or manual, I can say manual occurrence or manual stop there, but continuous deployment, it will be just a fully flash pipeline. So if something is started, then it will just end after that particular application deployment or the live. Okay, the application will be live after the if you are using the deployment strategies. So DevOps tools in AWS. So what are the tools available in the AWS for using the DevOps? Okay, so as I said, like as we previously also checked this particular thing, like there are the steps like source, build, test, deploy, monitor. So there are lots of tools. Okay, but what are these tools I can simulate in AWS, and I how can actually use them? So that's the question must be having. So see, if you are using the source is like Git or anything. So in AWS same, you can replicate it with the AWS code commit. Okay, so you can use the AWS code commit there. In AWS code commit, you can just create a Git repo or any kind of repo. It's not create actually Git repo. It's actually create a repo. In the repo, you can just put your code. Okay, so in AWS code commit, you can just I can say just compare it with your Git or I can say any VCS tool. So it's similar kind of that. Then next thing is the build. So build is like code build. So if you're building anything, if you want some build steps that like my jar file should be installed, particular package should be open, and this configuration should be changed. So these kind of tools, these kind of things, you can just do in the build step. And after the build, there will be a test. So you can just test it out by the code build and any third party tool. If there's lots of tools available in market, like if you want to use, then you can just integrate by the code build, AWS code build itself. You can then install by the particular commands, and you can just deploy it. And in the deploy, you can use the AWS code deploy. And the if you want to just maintain the I can say if you want to integrate everything at a place, then we just go by the AWS code pipeline. Okay, so code pipeline is like the Jenkins. Okay, so it will integrate everything at a one place. Okay, so you can consider it like that. If we comes to the monitor, then you can use CloudWatch or X-ray kind of things in AWS. Yeah, I think that answers. And yeah, the next thing is code commit. So it will explain you like what's the code commit. So it's a version control tool provided by the AWS, and uh, a lot of free features. So you can use it for free. And if you are integrating somewhere, then there can be a charges or something like that. But yeah, it's highly scalable managed source control service. So it's highly scalable. Okay, if you your team is large and you want a particular source control tool instead of GitHub, so you can use this particular code commit itself. Okay, the code build. So code build is like it's a fully managed continuous integration service that compiles the source code. It will compile your source code, it will run the test cases, it will produce the software packages, and it will just then goes to the next step, that is code deploy. So it will just send that particular package to the deployment, to the deploy thing. Okay, so code build is there. So basically in free tier you will just get the 100 build minutes. So that's the building time. I will just show you in the demo like how it's work, or the what is the build minutes. So whenever code is deployed, like code is just create like the code is pushed from that particular, I can say, commit to the build. In build you are just using lots of I can say run test cases or building something. So if it will taking time, then your charges will be accordingly. Okay, so that's how it goes, like PSG model. Okay, so the next is code deploy. So in code deploy, you can just deploy. It's kind of deployment tool. It will just deploy your code anywhere. It can be your EC2, it can be your ECS cluster, it can be EKS, or it can be your Elastic Beanstalk application. Yeah, it can be anything, but it will just do the work of the deploy. He knows only thing, like whenever he got the code, he got the zip files, he got the artifacts. He have to just deploy it somewhere. Okay, so whatever he do. So automated deployments you can handle, minimize downtime. There is maybe no downtime if you are using that particular code deploy. So you can minimize that. Centralized control. Okay, because in code deploy there is lots of strategies. You can use blue, green, you can use canary. So if you are using them, then there will be no downtime, I think. Okay. So there is centralized control. There is a easy to adopt, because if you are already using AWS, then it's already easy to adopt for you. Okay. So code pipeline. So why do code pipeline? So this is a continuous delivery tool. So in this particular tool, you can just integrate any kind of step you already having in your particular infra. Okay, so you can just integrate them. Yeah, so it's time for a particular quick demo. So let me start. Yeah, so let me start with that. Yeah, so in this particular demo, what I will demonstrate you is yeah. So let me sign into my console. I should done that previously. Yeah, it's done. Okay, so this is a particular AWS console. Most of you already aware of it, or most of it is not. But let me explain you very quickly. So this is a particular AWS console. You can just choose your region, any particular region. If you want to check, you can just use by. I'm using particular AP South one, that's Mumbai region. Okay, so you can, if you are stuck somewhere, you don't know why I get the bill, so you can just go to support center. You can just create a particular ticket, and you will be getting assist by them. Okay, this is the particular thing that will be handle your billing and something like that, account number, what is the thing, everything will be there. If you want to check a particular service, just go ahead and just type the service name. You will just redirect to that particular service. This is the our service tab. Like as there compute, there's a lot of sectors, so if you want to use a particular service from that particular sector, you can just use it accordingly. Okay, yeah, so let me start with the particular tool that we gone through, that is the code commit. Okay, so yeah, so see, when I type the code, it will just give you all the tools available there. So it's not giving code commit, so I am just waiting the code commit. So what you can see, like store code in private Git repository. So it's a similar kind of Git repository, but it will store your code. So what you can do, you can just create a Git repository here. Okay, but this particular repository you can use by your what I can say IAM users. So you have to create a particular IAM users. You have to give the access to that, and by that particular user, you can just use this particular repo. Okay. So for now, I will just use this, but I will just create a repo. But for the demo purpose, I will use one particular Git repo, because lots of you already using or already aware of the Git. So I don't want to like consume more time here. But yeah. So I'm just giving the name of it like AWS LPU. Okay, so yeah, description you can give any if you have, and tags. So these are the tags, key value pairs. So in AWS, whenever each service have this file kind of function like tags and key pair. So because whenever you create any policy, or I can say any rules for that, so on that you can just check, or you can just what I can say control over the any service or any by the tags. Okay, so that's why the tags are so important to give. Okay, so now I'm just creating that particular I can say this particular repository. So repository is created, but what error is saying, you are signed with a root account, so you can't configure SS connection, because as I already said, you have to create a particular user, IAM user, to use it. Okay, because I already logged in with a root account, and from the root account I am doing everything. Okay, so yeah, so that's what the code commit is. And what you can, if you will just check these things, so when I type the code commit, when I'm in code commit, so I already got all the services that are related to DevOps. Like you can check code commit, you can check code artifact, you can check code build, code deploy, and code pipeline. So everything is already there. Okay, so code artifact is there. Code artifacts is mean like whenever code is coming, so the code build, what it will do, it will just save the artifact on your S3 or somewhere else. So that's why it's code artifact is there. But yeah, it's not a major kind of service, or you should be aware of it. But if you know the code commit, then it will be easy for you to understand it. Okay, so that's why I left it out. Yeah. So yeah, so I think that's explains the code commit part. And now let me show you the code build. Okay, so what actually happens in code build? Yeah, so in code build you can just create a particular, I can say, build project. So previously I was trying something, I think yesterday, so that's started, and let me delete it. So when you want to delete something, you have to just type the delete and just delete it, so it will be deleted. And let's suppose if you want to create a build project, so build project where you will create. Okay, so let's suppose your application having something to build. Okay, so on that particular time, you have to create the build project, some build to dependency, or I can say to run some test cases. So on that particular time, you will just create a build project. Okay, so when you will create a build project, what are the things you will require? So it will need a project name. So yeah, so you have to put the project name there. You have to yeah, let me explain it by create itself. Yeah, so I put it the name, and yeah, it's asking for you the source, because where from I want to take the code. Okay, so it's giving the all the applications or all the access point to you. If you want to use GitHub, you want to Bitbucket, you want to use GitHub Enterprise or Amazon S3, you can use any. As now I use AWS code commit, and I have already their particular repository as I created, so that it's take, and it will take the branch name and everything will be there. Okay, so yeah, you can use the manage image or custom image. What's the mean of it? Like whenever the build will be done, so it will just build in the particular image. Okay, let's suppose if you want to deploy on Ubuntu, then you can just give the operating system here, like whatever the operating system you want to use for the particular build, or what's the environment you want to use. If you have already custom image, let's suppose if you already built it something and you created the AMI, then you can just specify your particular image name here. Okay, and yeah, that you can do. Yeah, so there is a rule, you have to attach it. I already created a rule that I will attach. Yeah, and like lots of things are not mandatory or not must, so that can be optional, so you can left them out. Okay, but now whatever the demo I will explain in that, you will not need that particular code build thing. Okay, so I will not include it, so I'm just canceling it. Yeah, discard. Okay, so build thing is there. Yeah, so the third thing is the deploy. In the code deploy, what it will does, it will just deploy our code by taking the from the any of source. What I can say, any of the source. Okay, so let me get started with the code deploy. So in code deploy, you have to create application. So let me give the application name AWS LPU one, and yeah, it will given the this particular thing, and it will ask me what's the compute platform where you want to deploy your code. It will be your ECS cluster, it will be your Lambda, it will be your EC2 or on premises. So I will just give the EC2, or that is the VM, my like my VMs. So I have just given them. I will just create a particular application of it. So this particular application is created. In application, what we have to do, we have to create a deployment group. In deployment group, what we have to give, we have to just give that like on which particular instances, or on which particular instances, or I can say a particular group you want to just deploy your code each time. So what I am doing, uh, I will just go through from the EC2. So EC2, most of you already aware, but let me explain you very quickly. In EC2, like what we do, it's used for the VM virtual machines. So you can just create it and you can just use it. Okay, so I am just launching a particular instance. So what you have to do whenever you will create this particular deployment group, so in that particular step, you will be needing a particular, I can say, EC2 instance to give, like where to deploy. So if I will let's say I will start this. So in this, it will ask me the group name. After asking the group name, it will just create the service role. And after the service role, it will just ask me these three variables. Okay, so I have to choose any of them. So as I'm using AWS instance, so I have to give the key value pair. So which instance I want to deploy. So that's what it's asking. So that's why I'm creating a particular instance, and then we will come to this step. Okay, so let me create a instance for you very quickly. Okay, so in you have to just click on this particular launch instance button, and you can just use any of the AMI or any of the platform, or I can say any of the OS you want to use. You can just use it. I am preferring Ubuntu here, so I'm just using it. Okay, So after using the Ubuntu, I will just use the particular instance size. What's the size of instance? So it's, I think, a demo purpose. So I'm just going through the T2 micro. If there is a load kind of thing, then you can use the high level also. Okay, so I'm just going the details. So what you have to do whenever you just deploy any kind of, you can just integrate something. So in AWS, you have to give the permission or access for that. Okay, so let's suppose I am just integrating the code deploy with the EC2. So I have to give the permissions. Okay, so how they will contact to each other? So in AWS, for that particular task, we already having the rules. Okay, so you can create a role, or you have to given that particular rule, like this particular instance will have the permission by the code deploy. Like code deploy, if anytime he's getting something, though, he can deploy on this particular instance. So you have to attach the rule or the permissions to it. Okay, so number of instances I have just given one. The network part, this is the VPC. I have already using the default one, so you can use default, or you can just create it one if you want to use. Okay, so this is the particular thing you have to change. IAM rule section. So in this section you have to give the IAM rule. I have already created, but let me show you quickly, like how can you create a particular rule for using it. So it will redirect you to IAM, that management console. Okay, identity and access management control. So in this particular console, you have to create a role. Okay, after creating the role, it will ask on which AWS service. So if you want to use AWS service, then you can choose it out. If there's any AWS another account, so you want to use this particular service to another account, so you can do that also. So I am just using AWS service EC2 because I want to give the particular role for EC2. And next, permissions. In permission, you can search here policies, because there are lots of policies already created by the AWS itself. So you can use it out. So I'm just using code deploy. So I want to use deploy here. So just edit. So I think EC2 role for code deploy limited. So you can check this out like this or this. Okay, so this is the particular role is having lots of permissions there. So you can wait. It's just doing that. Yeah, so you can just choose whatever rules you want. So now I want this particular code deploy thing there. Okay, so I think we can give the code deploy full access also, and if you want to do just a build kind of thing, so you can give that also. But let's start with the full access because it will work. Okay, or you can give the least permission because this is the principle we follow. So I'm just giving this, and the next is tags. So you can just give the tags or everything and just review and just create it. Okay, the role name I am just giving AWS LPU -1. Okay, so I have created the particular role. Yeah, so role is there, so I can just attach it by this. So I am role, I have to just refresh it, and I will be able to see AWS LPU 1. Okay, so this is a particular role we created. Yeah, so now what you have to do, you have to just give this particular thing. This is a user data. So whenever you just want to integrate something with any of service, so you have to install there something that will be interact or something API calling, I can say. Okay, so you have to install the code deploy agent in your particular EC2 instance. So for that, what you have to do, you can just write some commands whenever the instance will boot up. So that's why I'm using this user data. Else, what I have to do, I have to just manually log in it, and I have to just run that particular commands in this particular instance. So this will be a rework. So what I am doing, I will just I have commands ready, and I will just put it here. Okay, so that will be easy for me. So these are the commands, I will just use it. Okay, so let me explain you each command one by one. Okay, so let me yeah, let's create a particular file here. Yeah, so scripts. Yeah, so what we are doing here, like we are just using sudo apt-get update, so it will just update the particular instance, or I can say Ubuntu VM. We are just installing Ruby full because this is the particular dependency will be used by your code deploy. Okay. The third thing is the wget. So wget, we are just installing it because we want to install a particular agent, or I can say this particular binary. We want to just take it, then we will just install it. Okay. So we are just going a particular directory, and after going to directory, we are just installing. We are just downloading this particular what I can say the uh, package, and you can find these all thing at the AWS documentation itself. This is not something like I have implemented or I have got, because everything is open source. You can just go on the Google, just type what are the things I have to just go through it, so you will just find it. Okay, so okay, so if there is an issue, like I can show you quickly, like how can you Google it easily. So let's suppose I am just going and I am just writing the install code deploy agent. So you will find every step before it. So this is something I've just previously also gone through it. That's why it's showing me. So it's saying like install the code deploy agent. So you can just use from the command line. You will just go, so it will check which VM you are using, Ubuntu, Amazon Linux, or something like that. So I'm using Ubuntu. So there are the commands. So these are all the commands. You can just type whatever commands you just want by the login in the particular instance. But I don't want to log in. I just want to everything should be automated. So I am writing just a shell script. I will just put in the user data. So these all command I'm just putting in this, and it will just start the code deploy agent. So let's copy and paste the this action. So we've just pasted it. So whenever the instance will boot up, so on that particular time, it will just install all these commands. So next, add storage. So storage is already added, and this is enough for this particular thing. Yeah, the security group. Yeah, this particular thing you have to just keep in mind. The SSH rule you can just remove it because there is no use of it. We will not like SSH in that particular VM, and we don't want to use it for the 0000 because it will be public. So I don't want to use it, so I'm just removing it, and I'm just giving HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, if you are connection secure, then you can use HTTPS also, and just leave it as it is. Okay. The next thing is it will just review you like whatever thing you have done and just launch it. Yeah, for the key pair, what is like that? Let's suppose if you have already key pair, then you can use it or you can create a new. So what I am doing, I will just create a new key pair. I don't need it, but still, this is the option because let's suppose if you're not doing this time, let's suppose I choose process without key pair, then and later on, if something is failing in my instances, then I will not be able to get access of it. Okay, so it's a better practice. Like you should create a particular key pair and just download it and launch the instance. So it will be launched in some seconds, or I can say a minute. So it just started to launch. Okay, so till that what I'm doing, so that's how you have to create an instance. And yeah, I'm just creating a app because I have already created an instance there the same way, this particular thing. So I will just use this instance in this particular deployment. So I am using test AWS deployment. Okay, so I have used this particular deployment group name service account. You can use that as the same. This is the same role we have just we are just created for that particular deploy, or this is the default I can say service role. But this is if you want to create another one, then you can just go and just create a new at your console. Just choosing a particular service, code deploy and code deploy, you can just create it. Okay, and now I'm using this particular name, and in name it will just give the all the instances are running or available. So I have this already available, so I'm using this one. Okay, and yeah, so there are the lots of options available there. So this is a manager, we are not using it. Load balancer, we are not using it now, so I can just uncheck it. In advanced section you will get the triggers, alarms, or rollback. So these all are options we use when we are using some production gate pipeline, or I can say any client facing pipeline. Then it needs something kind of triggers, like suppose your code deploy thing is done and you want to be notified. So you can just create a you can create cloud alarms, or you can create something like SNS SQs. You can integrate them also. There's not like you can use them. So this is the particular group or the deployment I just created. So now the last or the particular tool is remained, that is AWS code pipeline. So now we have created everything. We will just integrate each and every tool. Okay. So how to do that? Let me show you quickly. So instead of searching, you are just getting everything is at this side. So just code pipeline getting started. So in code pipeline, it's already said like it will be just integrate everything. Okay. So you can just create a pipeline. So whenever you will create a pipeline, it will just choose your settings, your source stage, your commit thing, your code build thing, your code deploy thing, and then it will just show you the review. Okay. So I'm just creating the pipeline name as AWS code deploy LPQ. Okay, and I'm just creating a new service role because it's better practice to create a new service role for each pipeline, because they will be not I can say not get defected by the other pipelines. Okay, because whenever you having lots of pipeline, then let's suppose if someone deleted that pipeline, then that rule also deleted. Okay, so then there will be issues to existing to creating that particular pipeline. It will be get an error, but yeah, still go with the create a new one. Okay, so it's using a bucket. Okay, so bucket is like it will create a bucket for your artifacts. Okay, and yeah, I'm just creating the next thing here. Okay, code deploy LTPO. So it's saying like this particular name is not supported. So we have to give something name like something name like this. Yeah, just match it. The source in the sense this will be your code commit or your GitHub. So for now I'm just using GitHub. So when we choose GitHub, so it will ask me to connect to GitHub. So it will ask my username, password, and everything. But now I have already logged in my GitHub, so it will not ask you that, and it will just connect with that. Okay, so it just started, and it will just give me the you are already connected. Okay, so as I said, like you have already successfully connected and provider. So I can check every repository that was in my account in the GitHub repository. Okay, so I can check every repository in my account. So now I have created this particular repo for the demonstration. So I am using this one, the branch I am using master. And yeah, this is the detection options. So you want to use the GitHub webhooks or you want to use the AWS code deploy, code pipelines. So what the difference in this, like whenever you will use GitHub webhook. So there is a two kind of terms I can say. I can say the pull and push kind of methods to get a particular invocation. Okay, so whenever anything is pushed to your commit to your GitHub, so when how will this particular pipeline will know like I have to trigger now. So you can create these kind of webhook or the code pipeline webhook. So in code pipeline webhook, it will just go and check like something is changed there or not. But the GitHub webhook, what it will does whenever anything changes now, then only it will just trigger that particular pipeline. Okay, so that's the best practice and recommended also to use with the GitHub webhook. Okay, so we have created this. Now it's asking me the build stage, but we have already not created any build stage. It's optional. Okay, so it's on you. It's upon you. Like your application is using it or not using it. So I'm just skipping it. So I have skipped that. Now thing is coming to deploy. Now from which particular part I want to deploy it. So I will use code deploy. So in code deploy, I am just using this particular region. So it's a must like on which region you have created your code deploy application. On the same region, your I can say your pipeline should be the same region. Okay. So the application name, I can use the both of like I can use this one also because this one already tested and this I created just now. So the next, when you will do next, you will just find everything there because it will just showing you whatever the configuration you have done. You can review and just create a pipeline. So whenever I will create a pipeline, so it will just start it. It will just start to trigger that particular code on the particular instance. Okay, so let me show you when we'll just finish it. Give me a second. So as you can see, like it's connected with the particular source and it's started to run. Okay, so your pipeline is triggered automatically because first time it started and it's done. But now at the deploy stage, it's in progress. So now we can check the progress execution at here. Okay. So now when we will check it, or we will just go to here or deployment group. I think it's succeeded. Let me check again. Yeah, let's wait for it then. Progress detail. Yeah, so it's saying succeeded, but still here. Yeah. So let me go again to the pipelines. So now, which one we created just now? Yeah, this one we created. Okay. So now you can see that your source started. So in source, what it does, you can check everything in this here. Okay. So at here you can check like how what it does. So as you can check, yeah. So create pipeline, it's a root, and yeah, okay. So it's saying the pipeline is created by the root user. Okay, so from which user the pipeline is created, so the trigger is handled by the root itself. So I created the pipeline, I started it. So at the first time it started by the root user itself. But let's suppose someone will go to the git and someone will change the code. On that particular time it will not start by the root itself. On that it will start by your particular, I can say, root user itself. Okay, not root, actually the GitHub user itself. The source started, and the source, after source, what you can do, you can just go to deploy. In deploy, what's doing? Let me show you one by one. So in deploy, you can check like this is the status. It's done. So what it's done, let me I will explain you that also. Like what are the steps it's followed to creating that particular deployment. Okay, so yeah, and in a deploy you can check this particular code deploy and yeah, this particular deploy agent what we have created the application In this application, you can get this deployment ID, and in this you will be finding instance ID on which instance you have just deployed it. Okay, so I have deployed on this instance, so it's already filtered it out by the instance ID. Okay, but what are the things the code deploy has done on the your AWS instance side, or I can say what are the things he has just installed in this particular I can say instance. So let me show you the code. What is the like, because I have just created a sample application for demonstration. I just created a simple I can say index file, and that index file we will just deploy over the cloud, or we will just change it again and again, and we will just we can see that particular content again and again over the cloud. Okay, over the instance. Okay, so yeah, the first thing is so you can go to the scripts now. See, there are the two things. There's an app spec variable. So whenever we create our code deploy, so it looks for this particular file. So in this file, what we have written, we have already written like the OS Linux, the file path in the sense, the file path is index.html. So that index.html I already put in this particular repo, this particular file. Okay. So in scripts, let me go to not this one. Okay, yeah, this one, and let me open this another tab because it will be easy for you. Okay, so what I have done just created this particular varw HTML, and I have just gone through this dependencies, and I said like go in this and just create this start server script. So what it's doing, it will just go to the scripts, it will just run these two scripts in that particular instance. Okay, so instant dependencies, I have just create the dependency. I have just given a dependency like these are dependency. You have to just give. Okay, so I have just installed the Apache because I want to just get a particular index file, and for that we need a web server, so I just installed that. And let's suppose this is not the case, you just need a lot of things there. You just need what I can say, you are using Python, you are using Node.js, you want to install them, so you can install this phase also. You can install on I can say in AMI, you can install that on your AMI or on the this step. So these are the two steps you can just follow. Okay, so in this particular steps you can just use and the start server. So in start you can just use these kind of things. But there is the one thing, in code deploy there are lots of I can say hooks available there. As you can check here, like there are the hooks available. Let me show you on the Google itself because it will be easy for you, because every hooks I can't show you here. Okay, so for deploy hooks you can search like that and you will get every hook on the Google itself. So abspect, because as I created this abspect.yaml, so this abspect there's lots of hooks available. So see, there's a before install, there's a after install, there's a after install test. Let's suppose you have something like that, you just want to do these things before installing. Just go to the instance and just do things. After installing, you want to start a service, so you can do these things. After allow test traffic, you can want to just start these things, so you can do things. And these are some this is the process. And what are the hooks are in gray, you can't just modify them. Okay, so you can use hooks that are in the I can say the white shape. Okay, so you can use of that hooks, and yeah, then you can integrate it with wherever we want to integrate. Okay, so as you can check, like there's already given a particular example, like what are the hooks and how you can use them. So you can use the same thing if you want to use. Yeah, so where we was, yeah, so in this particular script, so when I just deploy this particular instance, or this particular things as done succeeded, so it goes to that particular instance, and it runs that particular pipeline. Okay, so this particular pipeline we have just run now. Yeah, so this is done. And let me show you the instance IP where it's deployed. And yeah, so you can check the details, and details we are just getting this particular public IP. Okay, and I just copied and I'm just putting it here. But before pressing the enter, I will show you what is written in that. So this is the particular index.html. So in this index file, what I have written, like this Aditya Soni and DevOps and Cloud Enthusiast. So it's kind of a particular my intro or something, a simple file. Okay. So in this file, I have written this, and yeah, it should be deployed on this IP. Now, when I will hit enter now, so I'm getting this particular application there. But let's suppose if someone going and just doing, or I can say if someone going and changing that particular index file. Okay, so if that is the case, then what will happen? This can be a question now. Let's suppose this is the file there, and I want to just change it. So when you will change it, then automatically your particular pipeline will trigger, and the code will automatically deploy at your EC2 instance. Okay, so let me show you quickly it. Okay, so I am just removing everything, whatever. No, I am just removing this only. Okay, not this. I am just removing this. I will just say welcome to, and I will just write here AWS Cloud V21. Okay, so I've just created this code, and yeah, this I think we can remain it. Okay, and now you can check that particular code. Like this is Aditya Soni, and this is the intro. I'm just creating it. Okay, so let me start it. Like let me just commit it. The updated code here. Okay, so I'm just committing this particular code. So when I will commit it now, so let's say I will just commit it in just particular just now. Okay, so just now I have just updated this. So when I will update this, this pipeline already triggered. So see, you can check this just now by this particular commit. So this commit is the same I have just created. Okay, so I have just updated the index.file. So index.file updated, so the source automatically triggered because we have already used the GitHub webhook there. So that webhook actually triggered that particular pipeline in your this what I can say, mm, this particular code pipeline. Okay, so now the deploy part is there. In deploy, what is doing? It's just doing its work. So it's just running those scripts. Whatever scripts was there, it's just changing the content and it's just deployed. So whenever it's saying like it succeeded, so we can see that it succeeded and it's deployed the thing. So whenever you will just refresh it, so you will get the content to be reflected on that particular site. Okay, so that's how this all DevOps, or I can say code pipeline is working. Okay, yeah. So that's the all thing, or that's the all thing I was having to demonstrate you. And this is the instance, or yeah. So let's that this was the demo. And if you have any questions about like previous slides or this particular demo or something else, you can just ask me out now. This is the perfect time for it. Okay, so let me go to the last slide. Yeah. So thanks for attending the session. And if you have any questions, any type of certain questions, you can just ask it me now, and or you can just ping me on LinkedIn or on Gmail. You can connect over it if something is urgent. Yeah, that's all.
It was really amazing and informative session. And let's see if anyone have any doubt or any query regarding the whole session. You can. Oh yeah, we have question. Can you please tell us about web identity? This Aman is asking.
Yeah, yeah, sure, Aman. So basically, web identity, you are asking, I'm not able to like get your question properly. So web identity, you are asking about like you want to integrate your another tools with AWS or like SAML authentication like that. So yes, you can do that in particular. What I can say in any of the code DevOps, or I can say AWS on DevOps. Okay, so in web identity, what it does. Let's suppose if you are using what I can say, if you are you want to log in that particular pipeline from your Facebook account or any of the account, you want to integrate with that particular pipeline. So you can do that because AWS already provided the SAML authentication or there's a auth type of authentication. So you can just use them and you can just integrate that particular things with your other stuffs. So let's suppose you are a developer or you are the root, you have the root account access, and your developer is in another team, and you want to give him access. Okay, so you can just add their access to your authentication and they will able to access. So that's how I think web identity work.
Oh, we have question from Shivam Mishra also. When to use continuous development and when to use continuous delivery?
Yeah, that's a great question, I think. Yeah, so basically, yeah, Shivam, so if you are yeah, so your question is like when to use continuous deployment and when to use continuous delivery. So as we already checked in our slides, uh, as we already checked in our slides, like there was two phases. There was a dev team, like there was a development phase, or if I can say, when you deploy the code, so you can deploy the code in the development, or you can do it on the production phase. Okay, so when our code is full fledged ready to go in the deployment side, or I can say in the production side, then you can use that particular deployment there, because you know there is no issues in my code. But let's suppose if you want to test it out, you have just done something else, or you just your developer has created a bug or something like that, and you want to test it, and at the test phase it was failing. So on that thing you can use continuous delivery. Okay, so in continuous delivery, what it will does, it will just pause everything after the build and I can say the test, and before the deploy. it will just post the particular pipeline there. And when you will just trigger the particular, I can say that particular trigger by yourself manually, then only that code will be deployed to your instance. So that's option also available in the code deploy also. You can the code pipeline itself, you can just like create the hooks there, like the manual process there. So yeah, because now what I have showed you, that was a continuous deployment. Whenever the code will just start with the your git repository, it will be deployed. It will not stop anywhere. Okay, but in the delivery you can just stop it somewhere.
Okay, we have next question from Lakshay Banga. How is the version control system handled when using continuous integration?
Yeah, yeah. So, Lakshay, basically, when you want to handle the particular VCS, so as what we done now, we have just integrated the code pipeline with our Git repository. So when we done that, it's only asked for us to like where is the your code commit thing. Okay, so in code commit thing or the where actually what is the source. So in source you can just create or what is the options available there, because as we check here, like there was option for GitHub, I can say GitLab or something like that. So same way you can just go to that, and as it asks to us to authenticate, so it will ask you the authentication part in the sense like wherever you want to use it your username password, or you want to use your GitHub token or tokens there, so you can just do that also. Yeah, so that's how actually it's handled. So that actually integrated with this. And let's suppose you are not using AWS, then you can just use that same thing with the Jenkins and other tools. So you have to install the plugins and just integrate that. Yeah, that's how like any of the pipeline or the CI tool you can just do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
welcome.
We have another question. How does monitoring tool helps us in the pipeline?
Okay,
From
so
Garvit Joshi.
yeah, sure, Garvit. So basically, monitoring tools helps in the pipeline. Yeah. So Garvit, let's suppose as I started the pipeline, my source stage was done, but next step was my code build, or I can say code build after the code deploy. And my I have just written dependency. I have just written something else, or there was a written issue, or I can say I should write the AWS deploy, and I have just write AWS deploy, yeah, something like that. So there can be a spelling mistake or something like that. So my build step will fail there. But when you are monitoring that again and again or in particular time, so you will get notified that, or you can just use the CloudWatch. So in CloudWatch you can uh, let me show you the process. Like you can just start the that particular CloudWatch, and you can just integrate with that code deploy or the pipeline. Whenever the pipeline will just stop, so it will just trigger a particular alarm. So that alarm, what they will do, you can just use that alarm by integrating the SNS, SQS, anything, and that will give you the particular mail message, or if you want to get a call also, that facility is available there. So let's suppose you are working remotely, you just started the pipeline and you just go for the drink or just go for the particular coffee, and then that particular pipeline failed, and when you go you just stayed there. So how you will get notified, or how will you know? So by the monitoring things you can just get notified, or you can just monitor how much load I am getting, my instance is getting healthy or not. That's so lots of things are there.
Okay. Do we have another question? This
Yeah,
one
sure,
we
sure.
have answered. Um, hey folks,
Uh,
are we all clear with the session, or do you have any other doubt? You can pop up the question. I will
I think
also like
Aman
to.
Aman asked a question like code commit, can we deploy application to containers also? Yeah, Aman, we can deploy. It doesn't matter like which platform you're using or what is the OS or something like that. You can deploy anywhere, anything. There's no issues.
I would like to ask my backend team to please share the LinkedIn details of Aditya Soni sir, so that if further anyone faces any doubt or confusion, he can just directly contact him on LinkedIn. And sir, how was the session and how was your experience?
Yeah, I was just the experience. I can say like this is not like I should say, because the team is so great. What I will say, because they have done so much of hard work at the back end, and I know that.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, this is a great experience to come here, and yeah, session was good, and on questions also they was like fine, fine.
Thank you, sir. And we have so many freshers out here, and many of them want to idolize you, and they want to know like how was your journey, how was your past experience. Could you please tell us something about your past experience?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, so let me start with it will be a brief. So if you want to be focused on some part, then you can just ask me again. But I will just go through what was my journey very quickly. Okay. So I have graduated last year itself from Arya College Jaipur, and I was learning the cloud and DevOps from like past 3 years. When I was in second year of engineering, then I started these all things. So after that, I got one internship at Linux World Jaipur. So I get to learn the lots of industry 4.0 technologies, and I work on them. Yeah. So on the time, I also worked on like Red Hat Linux and other stuffs. So yeah, after the 1 year, or I can say before 1 year, when the pandemic happened, so yeah, I can say the placement of my college days. So that was there, and I got the placement from the Cognizant and what I can say DXC. There, it was there. But later on, I got an internship opportunity from Spire of Gurgaon. There, I worked for 2 months, and yeah, there I worked on these kind of all tools like on the AWS cloud or cloud platforms. Everything was there. So I worked on there. Then I get a full-time opportunity from Sears as a cloud DevOps engineer. So I worked there also. And yeah, because it's not like you just learn by somewhere and you will just do that thing. It's a ongoing process. So you have to learn again and again, or it will just a new thing every day. So that's how I think my journey. And now it's Red Hat. So now I'm working at Red Hat as ATSE. Yeah, so that's all about me.
That's really interesting. And we have one question, sir. We also learn under Linux world.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
great.
great, Mumshad. That's great, Mumshad. Just
That's
do the
great.
hands
That
on, just focus on the hands on. What I will say, if you are learning somewhere or anywhere, just focus on the hands on, and actually focus on like how you can troubleshoot the errors. Actually that will lead you. Just don't like you just gone through a particular tool and you just done it and you are saying I have done mastery on it, I have the certificates and I have the, because that will not lead you anywhere. Just do the hands on whatever and how much you can do. That will help you in the
true,
real world.
true, sir. Practical knowledge is must. Like
Yeah,
we
that
all
is
get,
always must.
yeah, like we all get to know about the theoretical knowledge, but when we go inside the industry, we need practical knowledge.
Yeah,
So we
that's
have
perfect.
another question, sir. How was your source journey? Does open source project help you in corporate world?
Yeah, Garvit, that actually they definitely help. They will definitely help you, and they will not help you in the corporate world. They will help you other stuff also. Let's suppose instead of corporate world, if you want to grow, if you want to learn something, and if you want to do by yourself something, then this is the best thing you can do. Like you can just start with it. You can just let me give you a like small example. Like let's suppose you started to learn Git. You know the Git, but when it will come to the practical journey, or when I will say you want to build some projects on it, so you can just start with the open sourcing, and there you can, when you get like this particular project need this particular kind of technologies or this particular kind of things, so on that you will start one by one and do the hands on them. So you can show your work, you can show like wow, these are the things I have done, I have contributed this particular communities, this particular work I have done. So yeah, that helps a lot.
True, sir. Projects are really, I guess, they are really the main thing that companies look for. And
Yeah, yeah.
so, could you please explain our students that what kind of project they could work on, and what are the type of project that the company really looking forward?
Yeah, actually, I can answer a question, but my question is like from which domain the particular questioner is. If he wants to create a project in particular DevOps demo, then it can go the differently. If he is doing something like it's actually depends on the aspiration, where which profile you're looking for. If you are going to SD, then their project will be different. If you are going into a particular DevOps domain, then their project will be different. And let's suppose if you are going somewhere else, like any of testing or something background, then your project can be different. So let me explain you one by one. If I
Okay,
explain
sir.
like, so if you are going for the software development session, or I can say SD rules, so on that what you can do, let me give you a minute. Yeah. So in SD, what you can do, you can just create projects like just pick one programming language and just start to build projects on that. Just do one by one, like day by day. Like just learn the concepts. Like in hoops, there are lots of concepts, and in JS, or I can say there are lots of concepts in every programming language. Just pick one and learn from anywhere, YouTube or anywhere you can just refer, and just whatever you're learning, just start to build that and upload the particular code on GitHub, so that you can show the world like these kind of things I was just learning from that particular 365 days. So because the timeline will show, you will not say your work will show what you know. Okay, so they helps a lot. Okay, so in SD you can just do the SD, or I can say these kind of things, and completely programming. That's the main thing. If you are following any of the portal, then just do that and maintain a particular I can sheet or something that will show like I have done these this kind of things, so you will also remind. Because I also don't know what I've done a year ago. If I will just check it now, then I will say like, oh, I done that. Okay, so that's the thing. And if you're from DevOps and cloud domain, so I will say just focus on basics first, then start with the projects. If you have 9 10 projects and you don't know the basics of networking, operating system, and everything, then I think you will fail. Because projects will lead you that you know the integrations, but let's suppose if something is failing, then how will you troubleshoot that? Because you only worked on the tools, you don't work on the basics of them. So that's what the first thing. And the second thing, if you want to build a project, then yeah, just go through like as I show you, like there's a DevOps umbrella or the infinity process. Okay, so follow that process, try to integrate as much as tool you can. Okay, and just show them like what are the process there. Yeah, I think that's informative.
That's much more informative, sir. So thank you, sir, for coming here and telling us everything about the DevOps, how to get into it, CI/CD, everything with the practical demo session also. It was really great to have you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Brahmajit, for like hosting the session. Yeah, thanks a lot.
I would also like to tell everyone that please do fill this feedback form, as this is the only thing which will proceed you and give you the e-certification and the perks we are looking for. So please do fill this feedback form as quickly as possible. It will be closed within 30 minutes. So do it. Yeah, thank you, Shubham Mishra. Thank you, Lakshya. Thank you, everyone, to be present here. And I would also like to ask my backend team to please share the link of the social media handles from where you can connect with Aditya Soni sir, connect with the AWS Cloud Community LPU, and it would be really great. Someone please post the LinkedIn tree. Yeah, here's the link. You can just connect with us and you will get the further notifications of the event and the webinars or the session we will conduct soon. And there will be a registration form also. You can go and fill the feedback form for e-certification and stay safe, stay happy, and try to have a certain social distancing and keep learning. So this was your host for today, Brahmajit Mohapatra. Thank you.